I got directed to a teen who knows better than the scientific professionals on biological diversity. Let's take a look at how the scientists have been wrong all this time.
If the fact that the person who created evolution had a mental disorder and also struggled with depression doesn't turn you off from believing in evolution, then here is a few reasons that will.
I don't know what Darwin's mental stability was. You're going to have to give references as to why you claim it was so. Now, I do know that he went through more than his share of sadness. He lost a daughter, which can be very heartbreaking in any parent's life. Believe me, I know. I don't know if the depression you're referring to may have been a chemical imbalance or the tragedies he had to deal with. You need to give references. And by the way, suffering with depression does not stop anybody from being scientific. My science advisor struggles with depression due to a chemical imbalance. This has not stopped her from publishing about biological discoveries that have been accepted by others in the scientific community. In whatever event, nobody is claiming that evolution is true just because Darwin was a perfectly sane and lucid individual. Evolution is accepted because the evidence matches the claims. We can see that as organisms reproduce, slight variations between generations occur, and if these mutations are beneficial, they'll be more likely to be passed on. What you are saying is the same as the arguments that Darwin recanted on his deathbed. Even if he did, and there's no indication that it actually happened, the evidence still supports the theory. Finally, Darwin didn't create evolution. Animals have been evolving long before he was born. He worked out the theory and collected enough evidence to persuade the scientific minds of the time that natural selection could account for the diversity found within various biomes on the Earth.
Firstly, according to evolution, apes should still be evolving, but these species are non-existent.
Who's to say that apes aren't evolving? There are going to be mutations between generations in ape populations. If these mutations are beneficial, they'll get passed on throughout the population. But there's no reason to assume they're going to evolve the same way we did. Their path is going to be their own. As for your image of changes, that's an artist's conception. The reason why we don't see extinct species of pre-humans is that, well, they've gone extinct. Our ancestor species like Homo habilis or Homo erectus were eventually outcompeted and supplanted by Homo sapiens. Yeah. Well, anybody who knows how mature I am would.
Secondly, evolutionists believe that life out of water began with fish that evolved lungs and legs and then got out of water. But this is not the case, because if evolution was still happening, then we would have seen fish getting out of the water or evolving right now.
The first thing to note is that the first life out of water wasn't animals, but plants. Everybody seems to forget that plants are life forms as well. Stupid meat supremacy. But, getting back to your fish comment, what made land appealing to early aquatic creatures was lack of competition. Organisms that could move out of the water for periods of time were safer from predators, giving them an area they could exploit. Eventually they become so acclimatized to life on land, they would not be able to live in the water anymore. And we do see fish getting out of the water right now. The northern snakehead has recently become an invasive species in North America. It has the ability to live up to 4 days on land, meaning it can leave the water for extended periods, but must still return to it eventually. It is not completely acclimatized to living on land.
Thirdly, the dating method is inaccurate because there are a few things that we know the age of, but when it is dated, we don't get to the same age.
Again, you're making claims with no evidence to back them up. What things are you talking about that have been dated where you don't get the same age? Yes, various dating methods can give bad readings. Contaminants can throw off the measurement of the dates. For example, when creationist Hugh Miller attempted to use radiocarbon dating on dinosaur bones to prove they were not millions of years old, the shellac on them offset the results to make such attempts on dating them worthless. The fact that even though he was told the fossils were contaminated did not deter him from using them shows that he was not interested in accurate scientific research, but rather wanted to advance his own agenda, regardless of the facts. But when dating methods used on decontaminated objects consistently give the same date, we can assume that the dating method is fairly accurate.
Fourthly, dinosaur skeletons have been found, but they still had flesh on, which proves that evolutionists who say that the dinosaurs has been extinct for over 100 million years ago is incorrect.
Again, you're not giving any references as to what you're talking about. If you're discussing the soft tissues found by Dr. Schweitzer, then hopefully you've also seen her work showing that how under the right conditions iron can help preserve soft tissues over the eons. Although, if you're saying that birds, which are also dinosaurs, have been found with flesh on them, that is technically correct.
You are technically correct. The best kind of correct.
Most Canadians had a dinosaur carcass on their table last week and feasted on the flesh to celebrate Thanksgiving. Our family ordered Chinese food.
There are also people who say that they have found skeletons of over 100 million years ago. But this is not true, because if something was over 100 million years ago, then their skeleton would have completely disintegrated.
Okay, this is what's known as fossilization. What we call dinosaur bones are not really the bones the dinosaurs had when they existed. When an animal dies and is quickly covered in sediment, much of the organic matter will decay outright, which is the case with most, but as mentioned above, not all soft tissue. However, as the harder organic materials decay, the bones can be replaced with minerals. This leads to a kind of ship of Theseus thought problem. When do the bones stop being the original bones and become fossils? Is it the moment that any of the original organic material has been replaced? Is it when half or more of the original has been replaced with inorganic materials? Or once the entire bone has become fossilized?
Lastly, evolutionists believe that the entire world was created with the Big Bang. But this is not the case, because how can something be created out of nothing?
Well, the Big Bang doesn't have anything to do with biological evolution. The Big Bang is the rapid expansion of heat and energy several billion years ago, whereas biological evolution via natural selection is the explanation for diversity found in nature. We have evidence that the Big Bang occurred from the shift in galaxies, the cosmic background radiation, and the amount of deuterium found in the universe. But even if we had no clue about the expansion of the universe, it wouldn't make a single difference towards our understanding of how populations change over time. The two are simply not related. You don't need to accept the Big Bang to accept evolution, and vice versa. Now, most people who do accept one accept the other because there's strong evidence for both, but it isn't always the case. Anyway, I hope that clears up your misconceptions about evolution.
She blinded me with science.